What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. Download that app. Download that Sports Talk app. Take it on the go wherever you are. Also, video streams up and rolling on YouTube and Facebook here this morning. But if you're up and at it already, big thanks for tuning in and making us a part of your starts on this Grind My Gears Tuesday. It is an ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Got a big show coming at you. Lots to discuss and catch up on. ESPN's Rob Demovsky is going to be joining us. Friend of the program will be joining us shortly after 8 o'clock, about 8 o'clock this morning. Talk about the latest with the green and gold with the Packers. Yes, so Rob covers the Packers for ESPN. But we'll talk obviously Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur talked a little bit to the media yesterday. And Matt LaFleur and maybe we're reading a little bit too much of this, and this could just be straight up gamesmanship and such, but not quite ready to say Jordan Love wouldn't be starting this weekend. Said that, Malik Willis will start, quote, "if Jordan is not clear." So, Matt LaFleur also saying Jordan Love will not be put on the injured reserve, and they have no plans to bring in another quarterback. So, the fact that he's not gonna be placed on injured reserve also tells us that they believe that, he will return in less than 4 games. I know Schefter last night said, before Monday Night Football that kinda thought a good maybe timeline or a look on the, schedule back by that, Minnesota game coming up on the 29th over there, so but again, maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit sooner. So Malik Willis will get the start if Jordan Love is not cleared. Is not cleared, but, we'll get the latest with our good buddy, Mr. Rob Demovsky coming up in a little under 2 hours from now. So we'll have plenty of Packers talk throughout, the morning here, leading up to their game against, the Colts with week 2 now officially in the books across the NFL, the Jets falling to the San Francisco 49ers last night, so, yeah, now on to week 2, baby. Already on to week 2 here. So football talk coming at you this morning. We're gonna talk, some Badger football too with Mr. RJ Cardinal. He's coming up in the, well, right after Rob. So we'll talk about, that South Dakota game, but also getting set for Alabama coming to town this weekend. Also put it on your calendars too. Colton Bartholomew, who covers the Badger football team for the Wisconsin State Journal, is going to be joining us tomorrow to be talking about that game too. So put that on your calendars. It'll be about 8:20 or so. So, but we'll catch up with RJ, get his thoughts on what we saw from South Dakota. Or I should say, in the game against South Dakota this past week, and look ahead to big time matchup and maybe an opportunity here for this Badger football team to maybe silence some of the naysayers, silence some of the doubters, and perhaps even answer a lot of questions that people still have about this Badger football team. So, but plenty of Badger chat coming up here as well. And how many of you are actually going to the game to Alabama? Give us a little bit of a raise your hand. Anybody that we know that's gonna be going down there? Gotta imagine Dave gonna be going over there. But yeah, raise your hand. Give me a little like emoji raising hand or something. Shoot me a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, all right? 715-830-1912. Brewers are also back in action tonight. They begin a West Coast swing here, taking on the Giants. Just 19 more games left to go in the regular season, man. Countdown's on. Final stretch is here. And Dodgers couldn't help out the Brewers last night. Although, if you're still hoping maybe to get one of those top spots in the National League, maybe the Cubs actually helped out the Brewers there. But the match number still staying at numero 10. So Cubs now 8.5 back from the Brewers in the division here. But Aaron Savali is going to be on the mounds tonight for the Crew. So we'll talk a little Brewers as we prepare for this final push. I think a very important next couple weeks here from the 10th all the way through the 22nd. No off days. You got your West Coast trip mixed in there with 3 games against the Giants starting tonight. Then you got 3 against Arizona. Then you return home for 3 against Philly, and then 4 against Arizona. It is time, to quote Kevin Green, it is time, I think, for this team to start gaining that momentum, start putting things together specifically on the offensive side and getting that momentum as we get into the postseason, as we approach the postseason. I want this Brewers team to start to capture that momentum, start to put together a bunch of wins, and you're riding into the postseason on a high note. And I think, my opinion, I think it should start coming up here with tonight's game, with this series, with this stretch of games coming up here, because the next off day is the 23rd, and they only got 6 more games after that, just 2 more series after that. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's probably going to be a little nerve wracking. I don't know. Are you starting to get a little nerve? It's still 8.5, but are you kind of looking a little over your shoulder there with the Cubbies? Just 8.5 back or so. You getting there yet? So I was reading on MLB.com, and probably no big surprise due to Brewers fans out there. But I was reading this a little bit earlier this morning, and it's an article how 5 contenders have defied preseason expectations. And one of those teams is your Milwaukee Brewers. Kansas City's in there, Cleveland's in there too. Padres are also included in there, but the Brewers are on pace for 11 more wins over their projected total. Their biggest reason? Turning no-name pitching into value, and some dude named Jackson Cheerio. What do you think? Do you agree with that, Brewers fans? Do you agree that the biggest reason for this Brewer season, why they have exceeded expectations, is because of the pitching, turning the no-name pitching into value? Also Jackson Cheerio. Jackson Cheerio, I think we would all agree. But what would be maybe another one too that you would add to that? Honestly, I think it's, you look at a lot of the offensive stuff there too. I know they're in a little bit of an offensive slump, but we mentioned it yesterday. Brewers are number 1. We're number 1 yesterday in run differential. Major League Baseball. Still mind-boggling for me to say that, or to put that out there. And just, yeah, I mean, pitching, what, 17 different starters they've had? Luckily, they didn't have to hit the 20 mark. Guys started to stay healthy, and the Brewers made some moves and got some arms that would stay healthy in there. But yeah, there's no doubt they've turned some of these no-name pitchers into some quality starters that has been big-time performers for the Brewers this year. There's no denying that. That's Tobias Myers. That's Colin Ray having a career year. Guys like that. Robert Gasser for a little bit there before he got hurt. No question about it. Bullpen guys having some great years too, or having a great year too. So, but yeah, kind of think about that maybe a little bit. What else would you put in there? What else would you put in there? Maybe you're just like, that's Pat Murphy. Don't overthink it. Pat Murphy. So, we'll talk some baseball, talk some Brewers. The Twins are going to be back at it tonight too. They fell last night to the Angels. Maybe Twins fans getting a little bit nervous too here with some things. I'm not quite sure, but we'll talk some baseball coming up here. It is a ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what's grinding your gears, peeps? All right, what is grinding your gears? Let us know. Get it off your chest. Hit us up with a text on our texting line there. Okay, make it appropriate so we can say it on the air and such. or just comment on the video stream and all that good stuff there. But what's grinding your gears here this morning on an ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday? So, or what else is on your mind? All right, what else is on your mind that you want to talk about this morning for the next couple hours? All right, let me know. Hit me up with a text. Hit me up with a message. What else is on your mind? Okay, so plenty to get to here. I'm going to cover it all. Talk some Brewers as they begin a series with the Giants tonight. We're going to talk a little Packers. Matt LaFleur go over some of the comments from him yesterday in his first presser since they've been back from Brazil. So we'll go over some of the highlights there. What also with week one in the NFL season that is officially in the books now after last night's game. What is the biggest overreaction from week one? Or let's have a little fun with this. Maybe it's your overreaction. Maybe it's something you've seen people talk about. But what do you think is the biggest overreaction from week one? Or maybe the biggest on the flip side, too. What's maybe the biggest surprise from week one? Was there a team that just came out and be like, ooh, that was interesting, maybe in a good way, or just like, wow, they were awful. Maybe it's all from the same game if you kind of know the two teams I'm talking about there too. So have a little fun. All right. Biggest overreaction and maybe the biggest surprise from week one. Doesn't have to be Packers related. It could be across the entire NFL. Okay. All 32 teams out there. Or maybe it's a player. Maybe it's a specific player. Okay. So got that. Plus, we'll talk some Badgers. Badger football getting set to welcome Alabama to Camp Randall Field. Lots to get to here. So let's do it. We'll take our first break and then we'll get the leadoff going here this morning. Join me on the convo, all right? I want to hear from you. What's on your mind this morning? Hit me up with a text 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back. Hey, with deer season coming up here, bow season for deer season, that is, you might be starting to wonder, hey, if I get lucky and get that deer, where should I take it to get processed? Hey, don't make it hard on yourself. Go and visit Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire. And check this out from Mike's Star Market. Stop on in Saturdays through the end of November to sample some of their sausages. They will vary each week what's available to try, from sticks to summer sausage to bologna and more. You check out their variety, get your info in their computer program, ask questions about pricing, procedure, etc. So got to start thinking about that time with bow season, especially coming up here, and then of course with the deer season, deer rifle season coming up in November. So Mike's Star Market is your place to go to take your deer in for any processing, or if this week summer's not quite ready to give up yet, still want to fire up those grills and still kind of still live it up with the summer weather and such. Make sure you go over to Mike Star Market and grab some of their brats over there too, and try all the different flavors. I think we're going to be doing a little taste test here coming up in a couple weeks. More details on that. But Mike Star Market, west side of Eau Claire. Make sure you follow their Facebook page too. They've got all their prices for their venison processing listed up there, in custom venison and other game processing prices up there too. So make sure you follow their Facebook page. All that stuff is right there listed for you. Easy breakdowns over there too to follow along. So all right. Let's Dave is going. I thought so. Dave going to Camp Randall to bring back a victory against Alabama. I mean, if Wisconsin were to win this game against Alabama at Camp Randall, I can't begin to imagine what that environment at Camp Randall is going to be like. That place has got to be off the rails if Wisconsin's able to pull off that upset victory. That place is, I mean, you want to talk, that's like jump around times 10 in that environment. So, man, I hope anybody who's going, obviously I hope the Badgers win, but that's got to be so cool to be in an environment like that too. Especially if it's like a close game and then the final seconds, if it's a blowout, you kind of you're excited for a few minutes there, but as soon as that final whistle goes off, when it's a close game, and then oh man, it's got to be a top moment if that were to happen, right? So, Jeremy says biggest surprise was Sam Darnold. He looked good, but he's also my biggest overreaction too. He looked good versus potentially the worst team in the NFL. Let's see him look that good versus a good team. We are looking for your biggest overreactions from week one, or your biggest maybe surprises too. So, Jeremy, with doing the double dip there with that. So Jake from State Farm having Christian McCaffrey not play, and it's the first game of the year, has barely played during the preseason or not at all, then say he's expected to play all week, then all of a sudden say he's out. What a joke. I hate the overall pick and first overall pick in fantasy, because I have no choice but to pick guys like this. So that's why I hate picking running backs in fantasy football, because you just never know with those dudes. But biggest surprise in the NFL. We got another text here from Jeff saying my biggest surprise in the NFL from week one was the New Orleans Saints putting on a shellacking against the Panthers. That was kind of one of those games too. I'm Saints 47-10, dropping 17 in the first quarter. I mean, they put that beat down on the Saints, or on the Panthers. I I would love to hear from a Panthers fan right now in terms of what what what's your thoughts on Bryce Young right now? You know what I mean? So I just got to be a little bit worried, I got to imagine, right? A little freaking out. Or I mean, okay, let me ask you this. Which team's in a worse quarterback situation right now? Is it the Browns with Deshaun Watson, or the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young right now? Which team's fan base is maybe a little bit more like, "What the heck, man? What's going on?" Is it Deshaun Watson or Bryce Young? I mean, Deshaun Watson, that dude. I know Brandon mentioned it on Friday that when we were doing picks, he's kind of like, I wonder if Deshaun's kind of washed up. Well, dude looked like he was kind of washed up in that game. He. I don't know what's going on with there, but man. And then all the money committed to him. I mean, they made that huge commitment, kind of like the Panthers made that huge commitment, trading a bunch of picks to move up number 1 overall to get him over there. So, yeah, man. I'm gonna throw in. I think it's not an overreaction for me, but I would say a pleasant surprise. Shout out to the Patriots. I know that's probably like Patriots but I mean for a team that I think a lot of people out there thought, okay, they're gonna suck. They're not gonna be good this year. They're gonna be awful this year. They pulled out a 16-10 victory over the Bengals. They held Joe Burrow to 164 yards passing. So give a little shout out to the Patriots. Stevenson ran the ball for 120 yards. So I put a nice surprise there. Joe Burrow was 21 of 29, but just a buck 64, 5.7 yards per average. Not able to, have a bunch of deep plays down the field there. So yeah, I'd throw the Patriots into that equation too. Another pick for Sam Darnold. This one is actually from Matt saying Sam Darnold is my overreaction. A lot of people excited about what he did against a putrid Giants team. Good point too. Texter said throw Daniel Jones into that quarterback question. You're right. I mean, which fan base right now is more annoyed, upset, concerned, freaking out, whatever word we want to use to describe? Is it the Giants with Daniel Jones? Is it the Browns with Deshaun Watson? Is it Carolina with Bryce Young? And those, like, Carolina's a little bit different because, they moved up and traded all those picks to acquire Bryce Young and hopefully have their quarterback of the future, or their long-term quarterback, their young quarterback, thinking they're going to be set for double-digit years. Right now, it ain't going good. Whereas, like the team like the Browns, they got talent, right? I mean, they've got talent, defense, offensive playmakers. I know Nick Chubb is missing some time and such, but they put in a ton of money, trade assets to bring in Deshaun Watson, and I think it's safe to say he's maybe the one that's holding them back from hitting their full potential over there. And then Daniel Jones is just the prime example of having a good year and then cashing in with that contract. So, yeah, that's a good point. Thanks to that texter for throwing in Daniel Jones as part of that question over there too. Oof. If I don't, which one would I pick? I don't know. Gosh, I might go with the Browns a little bit just because you forked over all that cash and a lot of it was guaranteed money. You might be stuck with that bill for a little bit there. So I might throw the Browns. I might pick them. Another nice surprise here. This one is from Eric here this morning. He is also going with the Patriots picking up a win. Might be one of their only couple wins this season. So, okay. All right. Continue to send me what are your biggest overreactions from week 1 of the NFL season, or maybe some of your biggest surprises out there. All right. Did we miss any? Did we cover some of those out there? Matt LaFleur yesterday talking with the local media for the first time since returning from Brazil. A couple of notes that he mentioned there. He actually said that this trip to Brazil, which this trip to Brazil was more ideal or better on the body than the trip to Europe, since the body clock doesn't change near as drastically. They also said on the airplane that they had about 60 some lay down seats on the plane, so a lot of guys were able to rest not only the way there, but on the way back. As we mentioned too a little bit earlier, the Packers will not place Jordan Love on the injured reserve, but they are going to be careful with his return, saying we'll never put him in a position to mortgage the short term or the future. If he can protect himself, we would never do that to him. Or if he can't protect himself, we would never do that to him or our football team. But he also wasn't quick to rule him out. Now, I don't know if it's just a little gamesmanship, to kind of throw that nugget out there to the Colts, so they've got to spend maybe a little extra time. Like, yeah, we better get ready for Jordan Love along with Malik Willis. Is that a little gamesmanship there? Because LaFleur yesterday said, quote, if Jordan is not cleared, then we will start Malik and Sean will be the backup if Jordan's not cleared. If, through that one word, if, throwing it in there, kind of changes the whole narrative. And maybe, just maybe, because you're going to hear typical coach speak from like the Colts and that, like, oh yeah, we're going to prepare for Love and Malik Willis and blah, blah, blah. Any little sort of competitive advantage that these teams and these coaches can try to throw out there, they're going to do it if they think it's a competitive advantage or if they think it can give them a little bit of a leg up. I don't know how much this would do that, but hey, they're going to throw out everything that they possibly can. I mean, from everything we've heard, I'd be shocked to see him out there. I would be shocked, but throwing that one word out there, if Jordan is not cleared, it's kind of maybe giving maybe some hope to the Packers fan base and such out there. But no, maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe we'll be surprised. Matt LaFleur also made it clear that the Packers did not talk to other free agents, QBs. Remember, we had a little bit of a source off on Sunday. Diana Rossini said the Packers did get a hold of Ryan Tannehill. Tom Pelissero said, no, they didn't. And Matt LaFleur saying, no, despite reports, it's crazy to me how people come up with some of these things. I think you explore every possibility, but at no point in time did we ever have any discussions with anybody. I feel like there might be the truth may lie somewhere in the middle there, because I'm sure maybe somebody in front, that's their job to check in on free agents and such. And so it got a little game of telephone and maybe misconstrued a little bit as like, oh, Packers are interested, that sort of thing. So Edrin Cooper, also another quote from Matt LaFleur. Sounds like he's going to be playing more too. Said, quote, he certainly flashed and made some plays. I would anticipate him getting more time moving forward, which again, I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise because the guy missed a lot of time in preseason and training camp and such. And then, game one as a rookie, you kind of, ease him on in there a little bit more experience, comes through the game good, you give him more opportunities in the next game, and so on and so on, right? Just kind of keep moving that way. So, but we'll see this week too. I'm sure every Packers fan is going to be paying attention to practice reports and seeing who's out there and such. And honestly, I did not see any injuries outside of Jordan from the Packers. Josh Myers was also banged up on that same play, but those were cramps, it sounds like. So, I mean, outside of Jordan, it seems like the Packers came through fairly healthy from that week 1 game against the Eagles. So, thumbs up, positive there. So, but yeah, I think we're all going to be paying attention to practice this week to see if, and honestly, Green Bay may play it pretty close to the chest too, where maybe he's not out on the field while the media's out there, maybe inside the Don Hudson Center doing a little rehab, getting some extra work in there and such. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him at all, or maybe see him very limited in the media sessions. Green Bay maybe trying to again, do a little bit of that gamesmanship out there. That's just my prediction. Could be completely off on in that account. But again, we'll talk with our buddy Rob Demovsky from ESPN coming up just past a little past 8 o'clock here this morning. We'll talk all things Packers and and all that good stuff here too. So Dave is his prediction. He's got a prediction for a Badger victory this weekend. My prediction for a Badger victory this weekend is my inner G-man, first down, Wisconsin. So, yeah, anybody else going to that Badger game at Camp Randall against Alabama? Let's project some positive vibes here, not just in Badger history, but I mean Wisconsin sports history. That a win against Alabama, would that it's got to be like one of the top wins up there. I know it'd be a recency sort of thing, and I know it's just a regular season game, but man, party in Madtown after a win at Camp Randall against Madison, especially with it being what day game, noon kickoff over there too. Plenty of time to party after a big win like that. Oh man, I can only imagine what that environment, everything's going to be like. All right, keep those picks too coming. Your biggest week one surprises in the NFL, your biggest overreactions from week one in the NFL. What are some of your biggest overreactions? Have a little fun with this. All right. It's week one. Let's not take it too serious with wins and losses from week one. We got 16 more of these games to go here. So let's have a little fun with a little overreaction Tuesday. Now that week one is officially in the books. Okay. Hit me up with those texts or comment on the video stream. Hit me up on the socials, all that good stuff. We got a quick break here, and we'll be back in a few minutes to already finish up the first hour this morning. Youth leagues, youth teams, if you're looking to maybe set up some swag shops, like to sell some merch or maybe to get some new jerseys, to outfit your leagues or your teams, look no further than Resonance Branding Company in El Tuna. Resonance Branding Company, the official swag provider for the show and the Man Cave podcast. Check out their Facebook page. Just look them up, Resonance Branding Company, or stop by 1728 Spooner Avenue, Suite C in Altoona. But Matt, Ben, Eric, Quinn, the entire team over there, just awesome people to work with. Their September product of the month, by the way. Got one of those beer steins, beer mugs over there. You know, Oktoberfest coming up. Perfect timing for that, right? So, but again, if you're looking to set up, if you're a youth team or a youth league and you want to maybe set up some online sales, set up an online store, or get some new gear for your league or for your teams, hey, Residence Branding Company is eager to help you out. So again, just stop by, talk with a member of the staff over there, and they'll hook you up. Good people over there at Residence Branding Company. Also, with week one officially in the books right now, gotta be we're on to week two, right? Week two of the football season is here, and well, start to make your underdog fantasy picks. Join over 1 million fans across 33 states who got in the game last year by making picks on underdog. So what's it like to maybe make some pick'ems for underdog fantasy? Well, you can choose whether a player will go higher or lower on certain stat categories. One of my favorite go-to pick'ems is selecting whether a quarterback will go higher or lower on their touchdown pass projections, or if a wide receiver will go higher or lower on their receiving yards projections. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple to use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code Casper. That's KASPER. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Casper to claim your new customer special of a free pick, and your deposit offer must be 18 and older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Let's What do we got here for time? About 12 minutes to the top here. All right. Brewers back in action tonight, taking on the San Francisco Giants after an off day yesterday. Brewers beginning a West Coast swing here. Just 19 more games left to go. 19 more games left to go in this regular season. Brewers holding on to the top spot in the NL Central by 8.5 games over the Chicago Cubs. Cubbies picking up a win against the Dodgers last night. So Aaron Savali is going to be on the mound for the Crew, looking for his 6th win of the season. Aaron Savali 5-8 so far on the season. When you do a little bit of a preview of the lineup going up against Savali, you got a couple guys there with a couple games worth of at bats, but nothing really to write home about. So when we look at what Savali has done as of late here for the Crew, he's coming off of a no decision back on the third against St. Louis, where he pitched 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 7. So that was back on September 3rd. But when we look at August, I think it's fair to say he had a pretty good August, especially considering. So in 5 games, Aaron Savali was 3-1 with a 3.29 ERA. And that includes the first game that he pitched in August, back on August 3rd against Washington, which was by far his worst one of that month. 4 innings, and he gave up 5 earned runs. After that, in the next 4 games, he gave up 5 earned runs total in those next 4 games. So a nice bounce back from that August 3rd game. But you factor that in, his numbers, or you factor that out, his numbers would be, a whole lot better in August, but still not bad overall in August. 3-1 with a 3.29 ERA, easily his best month with the Brewers since being acquired at the beginning of July. July, he went 0-1 with a 4.29 ERA in those 4 games. So nice bounce back in August, and hopefully that'll continue here in September. Because again, this is kind of like an audition for maybe guys like him and Frankie Montas and others. If we're looking at that fourth man in the rotation when we get to a playoff rotation over there, I think it's still Freddie, it's still Tobias, and it's going to be Colin Ray as your top three, and then fourth one might just be straight up wild card. Might be Savali for a couple, might be Frankie Montas for a couple. You throw in DL Hall into the equation over there too. So, and remember, they've got guys in that pen that can give you a couple innings. Joe Ross has been fantastic coming out of the pen. Assuming Hudson comes back, he's a guy that can give you a couple innings too. If Bryce Wilson comes back, he's another guy that gives you a couple. Jared Kenny, he can give you a couple. So they've got that unique part of their bullpen where they've got guys that can give you a little bit more of a little over an inning if need to. So maybe that fourth turn just might be a wild card one there, which I don't think a lot of us would have a big problem about. But I think with this series now, with the Brewers back in action, I think we want to see this offense kind of, start to get some momentum here, right? Well, that's what I want to see. I want to see this Brewers team after, you know, struggling a little bit offensively against the Rockies. Yes, they did get that win on Saturday, 5-2, but only 1 run in their loss on Sunday, 2 runs in their loss on Friday. The Rockies. You go back to their series against the Cardinals, 2 runs in a loss and extra innings back on last Wednesday. They had 4 runs last Tuesday and a 7-4 loss in extra innings. And then Monday, yes, they did put up 9 runs last Monday. Not yesterday, but the Monday previous to that. So, but I think offensively, last few games kind of been like to see a little bit more. And this is the point in time now with just these 19 games left to go here. I want to see this Brewers offense start to get that momentum as we inch closer to the postseason. Momentum is such a huge, huge factor when it gets to I think momentum is a thing when it comes to sports anyways, but I think it's huge when it comes to uh, Major League Baseball playoffs. It doesn't mean every year the team that's the hottest going into the postseason or the team that has the best momentum going into the postseason is going to win the whole thing. But we've seen plenty of times too, maybe these teams that don't have all the star power like a Dodgers or a Yankees. We've seen those teams that ride that momentum and they make deep runs in the postseason. Diamondbacks last year for crying out loud, right? Yes, they had Corbin Carroll and they had some talent, but you know, not compared to some of these other teams that spend all that money on some of their high price talent. They rode a lot of that momentum into the postseason and ended up having a deep run into the postseason. So now is the time I want to see this Brewers team start to put that all together, start to gain that momentum, start to play some good baseball, win a lot of these games in these next couple weeks here. Get that confidence rolling with this young team. Yes, they've got players who are got some playoff experience over there. I'm looking for a guy like Rhys Hoskins. Okay, now turn it on. A big part, I think you bring him in because of his postseason experience. Let's go now. Let's start to get that momentum for a guy like Rhys Hoskins. Let's start to be a little bit more consistent at the plate. But for some of these other youngsters over here too, maybe this is their first. Obviously, Jackson Cheerio and some of those pitchers. Some of the youngsters got a little bit of a taste last year, like a Sal Frelick and a Bryce Terang. But I want to see them now start to gain that momentum, start building that momentum and riding that into the postseason and playing some good baseball heading into the postseason. I don't want this Brewers team to just limp in and it's kind of like a reset. For baseball, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I want them to start to stack some success and enter this postseason, maybe even playing their best baseball that they've had all season long. It's going to be tough, though. You got a pesky Giants team. You got Arizona that's playing for a wild card spot. You got Philadelphia that's fighting for one of the top 2 spots. Then you got Arizona again for 4 games there. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. But I want this for the Brewers. I want them to be tested before they head into the postseason. I don't want them just to coast and play against sub 500 teams or subpar teams. I want them to be tested by some of the better teams in the league right before they go to the postseason. Kind of give you a little bit of a playoff feel. And I don't mind that the Cubs are playing well right now, maybe pushing it a little bit. Yes, they're still 8.5 back. But hey, keep kind of, pushing the Brewers and maybe just be a little bit in that rear view mirror and keep them focused and keep them driven here. Don't get complacent, right? That was a big thing we said a few weeks ago when the Brewers were just rolling and that division lead was up there. The biggest concern a lot of you had, and I was one of them too, don't get complacent. Well, here's your chance. Stack some wins, stack some success, ride into that postseason, playing some really solid baseball. Starts tonight against the Giants. So, all right. Looking for your biggest overreactions from week 1 of the NFL season? Let us know. Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We'll get back to some of those a little bit later on. It is also an ASAP used auto parts. It is also an ASAP used auto parts. Grind My Gears Tuesday. It's G-Man's birthday today. G-Man texted in saying it's his birthday. Happy birthday, G-Man. Everybody text in. All right, and wish G-Man a happy birthday here this morning. How many years young there, G-Man? How many years young, man? So, happy birthday there, buddy. So, we got you. Everybody text in. We're going to have like a virtual birthday card there for G-Man and such. So, all right, but coming up next hour, we'll do a little Grind My Gears Tuesday and ASAP Use Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. We'll hit that up, and we'll get back to some more Packers chats as well. But we'll finish up with Morgan. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Happy birthday, G-Man.
Yeah.
I hear that. I got your birthday horoscope for you, buddy. It says, if today is your birthday, September 10th, it says groups of friends can be your good luck charm this year. If you think of yourself as a loner, forget that now. People will look at you and see glamour, G-Man. This might bring more attention than you'd like, but be patient. You could even see some slight financial gain from contacts made. What about that?
G-Man's 401k is going to be on the rise.
Boom. There you go. You're going to make a little money too. And it says you'll be especially charming and persuasive to older friends and relatives. Don't try for too much too soon, though. A new love interest might steam your way this spring.
Oh, boy.
And be discreet and ignore any gossip. There you go, G-Man. I'd focus on the financial gain part of that. And maybe the bound chicka bound.
Yeah.
Maybe that too. Have you recovered from the game? How are you feeling about the kickoff?
I'm good.
Yeah? You feeling okay? No, there was no like.
I was, more concerned, obviously, with Jordan
The
Love's
injury.
injury and that.
And do you think it's really just going to be a few games, or do you think they're
Yeah.
holding out on something worse?
No, I think it's just going to be a couple games.
Yeah.
So,
And what one are you guys headed to again? Remind me.
the Texans.
Okay.
So October 20th.
And are you going to make it to Camp Randall at all this year now that they're selling beer and warm and turf?
I don't know. Probably. I don't have anything planned on the schedule right now. I would love to be down there this weekend, though, if they beat Alabama somehow.
I know. I was thinking that, too, because what is it, first time in 11 years or something like that?
Something like that. But if they beat Alabama, that place is going to.
It's going to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is. What do you think of the Big Ten serving beer overall now? Because there were just a couple of holdouts, but, I mean, do you think
they're caught up with the times now, I think?
I think so, too. I mean, let's be honest. It's not like it wasn't happening.
And I think exactly. And I think if it helps out NIL and all that stuff, you got to get creative with your ways of funding.
Yeah.
So.
And the tailgating's still going to kick off, 2 days before the actual game.
Right.
So.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. What's your prediction for the sea of red that's going to be down there this weekend?
Which red?
I know.
Crimson
that's what I'm
red
saying.
or cardinal red?
Make the early call.
I mean, I gotta pick Alabama, but I hope I'm wrong.
Really? Yeah. Now, how on like a sliding scale of percentage, how committed are you to that?
91%.
As your face is saying it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'll take Bucky in that then, just to keep it true.
I hope you're right. So.
I kind of hope I am too. And you know what? I haven't been wrong yet in life. Again with your face, Casper. Again with your face.
Yeah.
It's betraying you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Morgs.
Happy birthday, G-Man.
You got it. All right. 1 in. We got a couple more to go here. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning, September 10th. Appreciate all of you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up, we'll get back to some more Packers talk. Also, we've got ESPN's Rob Demovsky. Packers covers the Packers for NFL Nation for ESPN. He'll be joining us just past 8 o'clock this morning. So make sure you're tuning into that. We'll talk obviously some Jordan Love and look ahead to what's coming up next for the Pack and such. So Rob will join us then. We'll talk some more Badgers as well as we get set for their clash against Alabama coming up this weekend. Anybody going? Anybody besides our good buddy Dave that's going to be going down to Madtown to check out this game? This will be the third time these two teams have played each other. Back 2015, yeah, had to double check here. 2015, that's when they played in Jerry's World, the Jerry Dome down there. Alabama defeated Wisconsin 35-17. And then the only other meeting took place in Madison, it says here. Little throwback here. It took place in Madison on November 3rd, 1928. It was a 15-0 win for the Badgers. So, all right, this game coming up here, whoever wins will be the series leader all time. It's tied up at 1 apiece. They will face each other again next year in Alabama. So, we'll talk some more Badgers and then kind of recap what happened against South Dakota coming up next hour too with Mr. RJ Cardinal. Your biggest overreactions, your biggest surprises from week 1 of the NFL season. Let us know. Hit us up with your texts at 715-830-1912. Brewers are also back in action tonight as they begin a little bit of a West Coast trip here. Got the Giants on the schedule first. Game 1 of a 3-game series coming up tonight. So we're going to have some late games. First pitch is about 8:45 tonight. Then they've got Arizona coming up this weekend before returning home to face the Philadelphia Phillies and then the Diamondbacks of Arizona again. Mentioned it's in the first hour, but MLB.com as an interesting piece how 5 contenders have defied preseason expectations, which, you could probably come up with the list in your head of the 5 teams. The Royals are on here. The Guardians are on here. The Padres are on here. And actually, the Diamondbacks are on here too. It says they're on pace for 6 more wins over projected. But obviously, the Brewers are also on this list. They are on pace for 11 wins over their projected win total. 11 wins. In case you're wondering, is that the most? Well, the Royals are on pace for 12 wins over their projected. Guardians are also on pace for 11 wins over their projected total. But they say the biggest reason for the Brewers is two reasons. One, turning no-name pitching into value, and then some dude named Jackson Cherio. Says and they're right up here. I don't want to read everything here because you can check it out on MLB.com. As we have said above, it was very, very easy to write off the Brewers, and both the eye test and the fancy models mostly agreed. It's also easy to try to paint this as a gritty speed and defense story. And while that's not wrong necessarily, Milwaukee's defense was also plenty good last year too. Instead, it's a little more of an all-around tale because while plenty of teams here can hit better than you'd expect or prevent runs better than you'd think, the Brewers are a rare team that are doing both. They're a rare team that's doing both preventing runs and being able to score some runs. We talked about run differential yesterday when we looked at the numbers. Number 1 in Major League Baseball, for crying out loud. And they go through some of the offensive and defense. Offense 4.83 runs per game is, these metrics in baseball sometimes can get a little ridiculous. 0.24 runs per game better than projected at second best. Defense 3.9 runs allowed per game is 0.75 runs per game better than projected, second best. So consider the rotation, which went into the season relying on underrated ace Freddie Peralta and a whole lot of questions, particularly when the highly touted DL Hall was injured after 6 starts. Instead, they've managed to get 335 innings of 3.44 ball out of a trio of Joe Ross, Colin Ray, and Tobias Myers, who were, to put it lightly, not expected to do much of anything. They've since reinforced by veteran additions Frankie Montas and Aaron Savali, and they've felt the magic too. Montas's fastball has jumped by 1.1 miles per hour since he arrived from Cincinnati. That also extends to the bullpen when they talk about Brian Hudson and Jared Koenig and a couple others there, Trevor McGill. The lineup isn't quite finding that level of extra success, but the second most runs scored over projections isn't nothing either. That's a lot about the team's second best in baseball performance with runners in scoring position. Think about that. Second best in baseball with performance with runners in scoring position. I mean, what's been a big gripe for ours for a long time when it comes to the Brewers? Um, it's Christian Yelich's resurgence before season-ending back surgery. It's a lot about Jackson Cheerio, who shook off a slow start to perform like a top 15 hitter in the game since June 1st. Only 3 teams in the majors have added more slugging percentage than Milwaukee, which has gained 21 points of bash. Man. And so, yeah, they've got the Yankees and the Diamondbacks, it looks like, listed higher in terms of those slugging percentage. So going back to the question at hand, what's the biggest reasons, or why have the Brewers defied preseason expectations? They say it's no-name pitching and Jackson Cheerio. I'd agree with those, but I would also add the offense. I mean, I think the biggest surprise to me this year, and you could pick a lot of them. You could look at that pitching and be like, they lost Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. And they've started 17 different starting pitchers, for crying out loud. 17. That's kind of settled down now after the trade deadline and guys getting healthy. So, no question. That's one of the biggest, and these guys stepping up to the challenge and taking advantage of their opportunities. No question, that's a big reason why this team is defying preseason expectations. They're getting something, a lot of good somethings out of this pitching staff, starters and bullpen, especially when you consider Freddie Peralta's maybe not played up to the expectations, the high expectations we had and the team had. And I have to imagine himself that he had for this season. That's fantastic. Chris Hook, make sure that man stays around. Okay. Make sure their pitching coach, Chris Hook, stays around for a while. Because what he does with this pitching staff, starters, bullpen, is fantastic. I don't know what he's got. I don't know what kind of magic potion or juice or, Space Jam water bottle that's magic that he's got going on over there, but it's working. But I would also argue to include this offense. I think this offense, to me, is the offense when you look at the numbers, and I know they're going through a little bit of a rut right now. But overall this season, when you look at their numbers, and we went through some of those already, but when you look at it, that to me is kind of the underrated or the overlooked aspect of this team. It's like, holy crap, they're tops in run differential. They're third best in slugging percentage. They're doing what? Oh yeah, and then you add in you're stealing bases. You look at and a lot of, yes, the first half was with Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich having a resurgent year. But this is also being done with guys that most of them were on the team last year, if you think about it, outside of Rhys Hoskins. But you look at his average, home runs, yeah, he's got that there too. But, I mean, Contreras, the hot start that he was on, Willie Adames, the year that he's having. You throw in a Bryce Terang too at the top. Those guys run the ball club last year. So I think one of the most underrated aspects about this team throughout the whole season has been some of their offensive numbers. And perhaps one of I think maybe with the pitchers is one of the biggest surprises in all of baseball. Something's working, and maybe it all comes down to this. You throw in a bunch of different reasons. Maybe it all centers around one person. Maybe it is Pat Murphy. Maybe it's just, it's kind of like one of those diagrams we used to do in school, right? What kind of diagrams do they call it? Where you got like something on the top, you got that big circle outline, like an outline, right? Your topic at hand, your subject at hand, and then you draw the lines down from them, and it's little sub subjects or subtopics. Maybe it's like the big circle at the top is Pat Murphy, and then the lines below is like pitching staff getting the most out of a lot of these unknown players, the resurgence of the offense, the bullpen, Jackson Cheerio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of different reasons, but maybe it all just kind of comes together under Pat Murphy. Okay. Tell you what, let's take a quick break here. We'll talk some more Packers, but keep your week 1 overreactions. Have a little fun with this. Overreaction Tuesday, now that week 1 is officially in the books after the 49ers defeated the Jets last night. Your biggest overreactions, let us know. Hit us up with text, 715-830-1912. Also, we'll talk some more Badgers coming up here as well. And your Brewers, what do you think is the biggest reason? Let me ask you, though. What do you think is the biggest reason the Brewers have surpassed expectations this year? Is it the no-name pitching staff? Is it the offense? Is it Pat Murphy? Is it Jackson Cheerio? It's a lot of them. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this, but if you had to pick one, what would it be? Hit me up with those texts, all right? We'll take a quick break and be back after these few short words. By visiting tildandgun.com. One of Wisconsin's biggest traditions is getting ready to start back up. Get ready to make some more memories and for this upcoming hunting season by visiting Tild and Gun today at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. And don't forget to check out their website, tildandgun.com. Be safe and best of luck in the great outdoors.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my community and those I care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Get ready to save with half-off deals. A great way for you to get goods and services that you will love and you don't have to pay full price. Be sure to check out all the great savings that half-off deals have to offer. There's something for everyone, so be sure to see for yourself. Be ready with your credit or debit card and get ready to save. For more details and to find out about all the savings, just go to aroundthe715.com.
Stock up and save on the toughest filters in the business during Wix Filters sale days at your local Auto Value Parts store. Not only will you get the best deal of the season on our very best filters, but you'll also find deep discounts on oil, fluids, grease, batteries, and more. Upgrade your filters during Wix Filters sale days at your local Auto Value Parts store. See store for official sale dates. Auto Value. We've got the parts. We've got the smarts.
Northland Buildings has been providing quality post-frame buildings throughout the Midwest since 1994. That's 30 years of expertise in construction for your peace of mind. Northland Buildings are economical, long-lasting, and built tough with quality materials and superior workmanship. Custom-built post-frame construction featuring a 50-year snow load warranty to withstand our tough Midwest winters. Northland's experienced sales reps are with you from start to finish. Get affordable protection for your vehicles, ATV, boats, and recreational gear. And farmers, of course, trust those tough agricultural buildings like the barns and machine sheds. Trust the experts in post-frame construction to help you with your next building project. Call 800-736-4510 or go to northlandbuildings.com and get a quality building at a fair price. Built tough for the Northland.
Protect all you own, farm, business, or home. Northland Building.
Have you checked out the food at the VFW Post 305 lately? From their taco omelets to their Friday fish fry, the menu at the VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. Plus, with their expanded kitchen hours, they are your new go-to place for a meal, good company, and good entertainment, with music happening on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So the next time you're wondering where you should be doing breakfast, dinner, or lunch, head on over to the VFW Post 305, located at 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Try the taco omelet, trust me.
More than the scores. More than the news. It's Sports Out the Squeaker. The Dan Casper Show.
Looking to upgrade your flooring game this year, maybe getting ready for a little bit of some of the holidays coming up here. I know it's September, but got to be looking ahead towards that. So if you're going to be maybe hosting some get-togethers this upcoming holiday season and such, but you want to do maybe a little remodeling in your home, well, it starts with the floors, and that's why you got to head to Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center, right here in Eau Claire. Not sure what would look good in your home or what would work best in your home or what would work the best in your budget? The entire team at Carpet City Flooring Center will work with you from finding the right style, from finding the right look, to what works best within your budget. The install teams are amazing over there at Carpet City Flooring Center as well. So easy to work with, and they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. The best teammate you could ask for when it comes to updating your flooring here in Eau Claire. So check them out. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue here in Eau Claire. Don't forget, too, it is also an ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. So get your what's grinding your gears. Send them in via the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912. Packers will be taking on the Indianapolis Colts coming up this Sunday. Probably going to be Malik Willis, even though Matt LaFleur yesterday said that, pretty much alluded that they won't officially rule him out there. We'll ask Rob about that when he's joining us here too. But we've got Joe DeGuano joining us here in right now. So Joseph, we know about the loss, we know about the game, but what were some of your positives that you did see in the loss from Friday night?
Edgerrin Cooper, he's going to be seeing the field a lot more, in my opinion. I thought he flashed. It was interesting. Tucker Kraft is tight end number 1, and I thought that was interesting. And Jaden Reed was explosive. And again, I think the Packers did not do well in game prep. Matt LaFleur talked about the fact that they did not adjust during the game to some of the things that Philadelphia was doing. So this is a learning game for sure, and onward and upward. And of course, the Jordan Love situation that has been talked to death, and I think Matt LaFleur playing a little bit coy with the if he's cleared or if he can't go, and using those types of things. And again, I think that it's probably going to be 2 games that Jordan Love misses. I think that Minnesota Viking game coming up on September 29th is the game you want to circle. But yeah, it was not, I think, what Packer fans expected. Jeff Hafley's defense couldn't get off the field. So a lot of the questions you had, and you and I had we talked about it on paper. Is this the real deal? Well, it was deja vu. Defense couldn't get off the field the last six and a half minutes. So it again kind of looked like defenses of the past of the Green Bay Packers. But onward and upward, Malik Willis, I think, this week. And again, I think Matt LaFleur has to dial up a good plan and a good game plan to maximize what you're going to get out of Willis and minimize mistakes. And hopefully this thing can get back on the right track, because it was interesting because Vegas already has kind of folded their cards on the Green Bay Packers. They said that the odds of Super Bowl winning has gone down significantly. And so I think a lot of people right now are kind of saying, well, maybe Green Bay's not the team we thought. And so it's going to be interesting where this team goes from here. But there were some positives to take, and I think some players, are going to be stepping up into new roles. And so lots to unpack with this game for sure.
How much do you take away from the defensive performance in that game? I know a lot of people are making a deal about, the field conditions, and offense does have an advantage when it comes to poor field conditions and such. So, I mean, with that, how much do you take away from what you saw in that defense week 1 and maybe factoring in the field conditions?
Yeah, I think there were I think there were some definitive issues that are not just because of the field, and the biggest one, truthfully, I think, was getting off the field and in that fourth quarter. I mean, they essentially let Philadelphia run a 4-minute offense for the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game. So I think that's the concern, and again, players making plays now. I think there's probably going to be, as this season evolves, guys taking over positions. And so early on in the year, you think you have something, and you really can't see it in game conditions because of the fact that these guys weren't playing a lot in the preseason. So you think you have something. And again, case in point is that linebacker position. Eric Wilson, a great special teamer. They were relying on him to be that starter, and it was just very obvious what kind of a presence Edgerrin Cooper brought. So, I think there are some things you definitely need to look at. And one of the things was the pressure from the front four. You really didn't see that. You didn't see everything we talked about in this offseason. Well, Preston Smith with his hand in the dirt, and Lucas Van Ness coming off the bench, and Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. You didn't see that. So now you're saying, okay, are these guys maybe not as good as we thought? And maybe we have to dial up some blitzes and do some different things to put more pressure on the quarterback. So, don't get me wrong. The field was horrible. But there are some things that the Green Bay Packers need to clean up that have nothing to do with the field conditions in Brazil.
How impressed were you with Eric Stokes' performance? I kind of used the thing. We didn't hear a whole lot about him. And I think in his case, that means he had a pretty darn good game on Friday night.
Yeah, that's impressive. And it was obvious, or it was interesting, I thought, that Philadelphia chose to really go after Jair Alexander. And there's no question. And Jair Alexander, he owned up for his mistakes, especially the long touchdown, the 60-plus yard touchdown to Brown to start the second half. He said it was wrong technique, it was wrong leverage on his part, and he got caught peeking in the backfield. He said he was supposed to be at 7 or 8 yards, he was at 5. He was supposed to be playing outside leverage, he played inside leverage, and so he admitted to those mistakes, which I think that's what you want to see out of a guy like Jair Alexander, admitting when he's got those mistakes. But yeah, Eric Stokes, I thought, played a heck of a game. When you don't have, it's kind of like a left tackle. When you don't talk about him in the game, and Rasheed Walker had a tough game, but when you don't talk about the cornerback, that means that he probably did a pretty decent job. So yeah, I thought Stokes played well. I thought Bullard played well. And again, there are these pieces you look at and glimmers you look at and you say, okay, you can build off this, and that's what you want to do from a coaching staff perspective is, hey, what can we build upon and what do we need to improve upon? And then you move on from there.
Speaking of like rotations and snap percentages and such, and you mentioned Tucker Kraft, I think it's clear he's tight end number one at this point. But one dude who didn't play any defensive snaps was Evan Williams, a guy we were talking about all preseason long and all training camp. Was that a little bit of a surprise for you that he didn't get on the field defensively in that game?
Yeah, I think, with a situation like that, you're looking at what you've got going. Are guys getting into a groove? I felt early on, Green Bay's defense was where it needed to be. And if that offense, again, the likelihood of winning when you go up 14-0 compared to the likelihood of winning when you go up 6-0, it's about a 60% difference. And so I thought the defense played well. They were in a groove, and I think when you're in a groove and the personnel is feeling it, you don't want to mess that up. And so is Evan Williams going to play a role on this team this year, an important role? I think so. But when you got game one like that, and it's a little bit of a weird situation because you're in Brazil and et cetera, et cetera. But I think they liked what they saw from the group that was out there and didn't want to mess with success at that point. But Evan Williams is going to have a big role with this team this year.
So to the question at hand, with the Colts now coming to Lambeau Field, can the Packers win with Malik Willis starting at quarterback if that's going to be the case this Sunday?
Oh, of course. Listen, if Joe Mixon can run for $150 against this Colts defense, then you lather up Josh Jacobs. And I think we saw that Josh Jacobs, a little bit of a different back for sure than Aaron Jones, because it might take Josh Jacobs a little while to get his mojo going. And so I think you lather him up and you mix in some RPOs with Malik Willis. Don't put him in situations where he's playing behind the chains. Keep it on the ground, keep the clock moving. There's no question the Green Bay Packers can win this football game. And again, I think Indianapolis, I think they're a good football team. I don't think that it's going to be a blowout or it's going to be an easy game. But yes, can the Green Bay Packers with Malik Willis win this game? Absolutely. And I think it's up to Matt LaFleur. He dials up an offense that's going to cater to Malik Willis's style of play. Then I think they can win this football game. And here's the thing, Captain, is look, this wasn't a spur of the moment thing that they went out and traded for Malik Willis. You don't just all of a sudden wake up in the morning and Goody came downstairs and said, yeah, I think I'm going to go after Malik Willis today. They had done their homework, realizing that he was probably going to be available. And so they probably said, okay, how would we use him? And so is there a package or is there a series of plays that LaFleur probably has already dialed up and this offensive staff has dialed up for him? Absolutely. Like I said, this was not a spur-of-the-moment decision to say we're going to go get this guy. The research was done, and I'm confident that Matt LaFleur, in my opinion, still one of the better offensive play callers in the NFL. I think he can put together a game plan. Now, that being said, and I'm not going to bury the headline, I think this is going to be a tough game for Green Bay. And at this point, right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Green Bay going 0-2.
So how much do you think Matt LaFleur has learned from that Kansas City game when Jordan Love had to start for Aaron Rodgers? And I know Matt LaFleur has talked about that, I think almost every year, how he kind of regrets with preparing Jordan Love for that game. Well, he's kind of in a similar position right now with Malik Willis, although Malik Willis, has only been around for a few weeks here. Do you think he's going to kind of think about that game and how he prepared Jordan Love and kind of factor that into preparing for Malik Willis this week?
Oh, I think you have to. I think you have to. And look, you and I very early on in LaFleur's tenure talked about his inexperience, and I think when you come across something new and you learn from it and adjust, yeah, I don't think there's any question that he's going to be having that in his mind and making sure he's putting Malik Willis in the best possible position. In that Chiefs game, Steve Spagnuolo really put the blitz on and put the pressure on Jordan Love, and Matt LaFleur didn't counterpunch. And so, yeah, I think that's very much going to be on his mind, and that's going to be an area where he says we got to put him in a position to be successful. And I think Matt LaFleur, at this point of his career, I think can do it.
So Joe, also too with Malik Willis, and he's the new backup and such. A lot of fans have been still clamoring for Ryan Tannehill at this point, and whether they should have signed him. I know hindsight's 2020 and that, but going back to your point about them doing homework on Malik Willis and making that trade for him, does that also tell you that maybe they preferred Malik Willis over Ryan Tannehill? Maybe more upside with Malik Willis?
Oh, no question. No question. Look, if Green Bay felt that they weren't protected and they weren't in a comfortable position with Malik Willis, they would have gone out and gotten Ryan Tannehill. And it was interesting. There were reports that Green Bay had reached out to Ryan Tannehill. Now the reports say that Green Bay hadn't. And I kind of tend to agree with that. I don't think you deal and make a trade, even though it's a seventh rounder. I don't think you go that route if you're saying, we really don't know if this is the answer. And so I don't think Tannehill was ever a part of the plans. I think Green Bay likes the opportunity that they have with Malik Willis, a guy that obviously coming out of college was very highly thought of, very athletic, and this is a guy that when you put in game film, you all of a sudden it pops out at you. And so, I don't think the Ryan Tannehill thing was ever a possibility. I think Green Bay wanted to have Malik Willis as their backup. Weren't getting the job done, and I don't think Tannehill was ever a part of Green Bay's options as far as when Jordan Love went down.
Jaden Reed, you mentioned him a little bit more, but obviously a couple touchdowns, one receiving, one rushing, and now you factor in, Malik Willis. Jaden, yeah, you better start this dude this week because I feel like that's a guy that you could do a whole lot within this style of offense to help out Malik Willis. What are your thoughts on Jaden Reed heading into this weekend?
No doubt, no doubt. I think Jaden Reed takes over where Aaron Jones left off. Jaden Reed. Look, he should have had another touchdown in that game if it weren't for and I could kind of put this one on the coaching staff, the 12 man on the field, and so he's explosive. You saw the jet sweep. You saw what he can do in the passing game. You saw his awareness of space and creating something in the open field. So there's playmakers on this offense, and so it's not like Malik Willis has nothing to work with. He's got definite playmakers, and I think Jaden Reed could be the X factor in this game if Green Bay wants to pull out the victory.
Do you think it helps Malik Willis being a guy who's just been around for a couple weeks and getting this start? Do you think it helps him that I'll go back to the lack of a number one wide receiver here? Do you think it helps him that he doesn't have that pressure of like, okay, I got to get it to this guy because he's the number one, or do you think it would be easier for him if they had that legit number one where they can game plan and try to get that guy open and just get the ball in his hands?
It'd be easier. I go back to Brett Favre when he started out in Green Bay and had Sterling Sharp, and then really nobody else. I think when you got that guy, I think that becomes a little bit easier. You've got a little bit of a security blanket, if you will, from that number one receiver. And so, I think if you had your preference, you'd have a definitive number one. You'd have a Devontae Adams out there. You'd have somebody along those lines. But that being said, I think Jaden Reed made a statement, and I think maybe he does have that number one And I think Jaden Reed might be the guy.
All right. So your keys to victory and your prediction for the game coming up on Sunday.
Stick to the run. Joe Mixon ran all over that Colt defense, and so stick to the run. I don't put Richardson yet in that Jalen Hurts category as far as mobile quarterbacks that can hurt you. And so you've gotta create some turnovers. You gotta get some pressure on Richardson, and you got to be able to run the ball. And I think those are the keys to the game. And at this point, it's just an unknown, and it almost goes back to last year when you didn't know what you had in Jordan Love. You don't know what you have in Malik Willis. That being the case from what I saw from the Colts in that Texan game, I'm going with the Colts this week. And I think Green Bay, if they can go 1-1 the next 2 games and then get Jordan Love back for the Minnesota game, I think they're going to be fine. But I think they're going to start the season 0-2, which is not a good position to be in. But again, I equate this to the Chicago game that started the year last year. Didn't know what you had in Jordan Love. You don't know what you have in Malik Willis in this offense. And so with that being the case, I'm picking the Colts.
All right. He's Joe DeGuano joining us this morning, chatting some green and gold. If you get that pick wrong, no, Joe, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to buy a lot of beers at the Court House for people. So just.
I will be more than happy if I get that pick wrong. Hey, you and I both, and I don't know if your final pick last week was with the Eagles, but, I said the Eagles last week. I just felt it was going to be one of those weird games, and it certainly was. And I'm hoping I'm wrong this week. But, again, too many question marks with Green Bay, and I just think that Colt team is a good team. They've got some weapons, and I think Green Bay is going to be in for a handful this weekend. And, again, I don't like it, but I think Green Bay goes 0-2.
All right, we'll see. Hopefully we're talking about some more positive stuff next week, though. But hey, you have a good rest of the week, sir, and we'll catch up with you again next Tuesday.
All right, my friend. Take care.
You got it. There you go. Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We're going to take a quick break, and maybe there we go. Quick break. We'll finish up the second hour coming up after these quick words. With some of the hunting seasons already in full swing, and I know we've got the archery season coming up here. But if you're not ready for hunting season, deer gun season, better head on over to our good friends at Tilden Gun. You can visit their website, tildengun.com, to check out all of the different options they have to offer, or you can visit them at their shop. Sweet place over there if you haven't been over there yet. Located at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. Get ready for the upcoming hunting season with the boys from Tilden Gun. Sean and Hunter over there, fantastic people, awesome people to work with. They will help you find just what you're looking for and at the best deals in the Chippewa Valley. Speaking of hunting season and a lot of seasons kind of going on right now, our quest is open to find who is the ultimate Wisconsin outdoorsman. Just head to sportstalk1051.com for more details. You got the official checklist over there. You got to submit a photo of you doing one of these events, or maybe you had some luck with the upcoming bow season. Maybe, opening weekend for bow, maybe you get a buck, or maybe you get a doe. Snap that pic, upload it, mark that off the checklist. Got it done. Maybe you're visiting a state park. Snap that photo. Got it already marked off the checklist. All right. Full checklist up at our website again, sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the outdoors tab at the top there. We got about 9 minutes to the top. Rob Demovsky from ESPN is going to be joining us just after the top of the hour here. So we'll talk some Packers with him, talk some Jordan Love, Malik Willis, and the latest going-ons at 1265 Lombardi Avenue. So he'll be joining us. Then after that, we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal, recapping the win against South Dakota, and then looking ahead to this weekend against Alabama. Can Wisconsin somehow pull off the upset against the Crimson Tide of Alabama? Will it be Crimson Red or will it be Cardinal Red that will be victorious this weekend? We'll talk some Badgers with RJ coming up at about 8:20 or so here this morning. Catching up on a few texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Dave saying the Brewers' success, more speed defensively and on the base paths. We've got Matt saying the biggest surprise for me for the Brewers has been their improvement in hitting. I was expecting that this team would be similar to what they were in the last couple of years. We've got Jeff saying the biggest surprise for me for the Brewers this year has been the different pitchers that they have used, and yet they keep continuing to win a bunch of ball games and now in a position to win the division again. All right. Anybody else? Let me know. What are your thoughts? Okay. We'll do I think we'll hold off on the ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears until the next hour. So last call for any ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Okay, I got a couple to get to here, but I'll give you a little bit more time for anybody else to send those on over. Get off your chest, all right? Tell it with the rest of us. Tell us with the rest of your fam out there, okay? So what's grinding your gears here this morning? You can let us know. Also, again, happy birthday to our man, Mr. G Man, this morning. Happy birthday to the big guy over there too. So, what else do we got here? Oh, a couple more texts. I forgot to get to these a little bit earlier here. Going back to a couple more Brewers ones. What surprised you the most about this Brewers team this year? This was actually from Mitch. Mitch said with the Brewers, what surprised me the most is Jackson Cheerio. Maybe it's because I had lower expectations for him in his rookie season and no experience at the major league level. What he is doing is pretty remarkable. And then David is saying with the Brewers, the reason I think that they're in this position right now and exceeding expectations is because of Pat Murphy. Kind of what you were saying. We can pinpoint a lot of different areas: the pitching, the hitting, base stealing, but it all falls under one cap, and that's Pat Murphy. All right. Again, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer in this thing. I think it's a bunch of different reasons why why the Brewers are in this position right now that they're in. I just want them to put together some wins, start to stack some success, gain a little momentum, start to play some really good baseball, and enter that postseason flying high with confidence. Flying high with confidence. Also, we asked who or what's your overreaction from week 1 of the NFL season? Week 1's in the books. 49ers picking up the victory last night over the Aaron Rodgers Jets. With week 1 officially done, what is the biggest overreaction or maybe the biggest surprise for you out there? Biggest overreaction from Nathan says it's the Saints. They pounded on an awful team this year, and now people are buying a bunch about the Saints. Way big of an overreaction. We've got excuse me, Sam is saying my biggest overreaction from week 1 is Packers fans already jumping the ship. Cool it down. Let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks here. Remember all those Super Bowl champions that lost in week 1, and look how that turned out for them. I'm wondering, are you referring to that nugget that we mentioned on Friday? Let me see if I can bring it up here quick. If I can find it about week 1. Yeah, it was like from Aaron Schatz. Let me see if I can find it here quick before the time. Yeah, Aaron Schatz said the worst loss by a future Super Bowl champion week 1 by DVOA was the 2003 New England Patriots, 31-0 to Buffalo. And there's a few other ones out there. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but yeah. Overreaction, biggest overreaction from for Jim from the first week of the NFL season is the Vikings winning their first game, and Vikings fans thinking they're on to the postseason. Okay. So keep those coming. You can tell it's football season. We got a little trash talk going between the fan bases here, right? So, okay, we'll get back to those coming up here in just a little bit, and then roll call. Anybody going to the Badger game? Anybody going to the Camp Randall? I'm curious to know if anybody's going down there, because I know Dave is. So I want some reporters on the ground during that game. What's the environment like leading up to the game, during the game, after the game, especially if they win? We might have to have some boots on the ground and have some reporters out there, volunteer reporters out there. If the Badgers somehow pull this thing off, what's the party situation like at Camp Randall? Because I got to imagine that place is just going to be lit, as the kids say these days. Do the kids still say that? I don't know if the kids still say that, but it's going to be electric. Holy moly, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine what Camp Randall, what Madison, maybe even the state of Wisconsin would look like if the Badgers somehow pull off the upset against Alabama on Saturday. Man, be so cool though, wouldn't it? Be so dang cool. So dang cool. Like I would love to be in that environment. Jump around times 10. I think if the Badgers were able to pull that off. Think about that. Jump around like times 10, especially if it's a close game that goes down the wire. What if it's like a walk-off touchdown or a walk-off field goal or a walk-off stand on the defensive side there? Man, that would be so cool. All right, we'll talk to RJ about that, though, coming up here in about 20 minutes. Shot clock's going to cut me off here. We got a quick news update, and then we're going to get to Rob Demovsky right away here. We'll talk some Packers with him. And Packers getting set for week 2 against the Indianapolis Colts. Malik Willis is going to get start if, Matt LaFleur said yesterday, if Jordan Love is not clear. Was that a little gamesmanship from Matt LaFleur, or is there still an outside shot that Jordan Love could play? We'll find out. Quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
5 Newsroom. It's your news done differently with Morgan McCarthy.
Well, good morning. Here's what we're learning today. Grabbing the dictionary and opening it to the D's. Debate as defined. A formal discussion on a particular topic in a public meeting or legislative assembly in which opposing arguments are put forward. And behind the podiums in Pennsylvania tonight, the first debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump will take place. As it connects to our state, the wife of Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, is in La Crosse tonight. So that's Gwen Walz. She'll be attending a debate viewing party there. Meanwhile, Walz is planning to make a stop at the Central Wisconsin Airport in Mosinee on Friday. That was on the heels of a rally by former President Trump that was held at the same place over the weekend. Well, as long as we're on the political stage, before we close the curtain, more action from U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde, who was in our area working to gather votes in the Valley. The Republican toured the Menards headquarters in Eau Claire yesterday to talk to employees. Now he's running against Democratic incumbent Senator Tammy Baldwin in the November general election. Curtain closed on politics. Turning attention to other headlines, one motorcyclist is dead, another hurt. This is following a crash in Pierce County. Authorities say the two motorcyclists collided over the weekend on Highway 72 near County Road S. David Ray was pronounced dead at the scene. The second motorcyclist hospitalized. The extent of those injuries unknown. A Minnesota man is dead after a drowning over the weekend at Kinnickinnick State Park. It happened Sunday at the park in Clifton Township, with the Pierce County Sheriff's Office saying Keith Taylor dove off a diving board of a parked pontoon and didn't resurface. Family and friends quickly recovering the body, but he was ultimately pronounced dead at the scene. Looking to headlines that stretch the union when it comes to the C word, we are kind of past COVID or wannabe. Well, what did those lockdowns, school closures, and canceled activities actually do?
A new research out of the University of Washington that looked at brain scans. What the researchers found was that the cerebral cortex, the part of the brain that controls reasoning and decision making, thinned out much more than expected. Boys showed an average premature brain aging of 1.4 years. The results were much more pronounced in girls, where brains aged an average of 4.2 years. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And have you grabbed a six-pack of the Dan cans, Man Cave Light? Read really close on the bottom. There's actually a warning that if you consume too many in a row, it will affect
The part of the brain that controls reasoning and decision making.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
From the hardwood and the diamond to the gridiron and the course, Dan's got you covered with his trademark blend of sports passion and knowledge. He has the sports info you want and the sports therapy you need. So get your game face on, people.
Let's go get some bell, huh? Put up or shut up, sir. We gotta get it started from the jump. Play big. Let's go. That's what legends made, man. It's showtime. Welcome to the big leagues. Let's go.
Because it's the Dan Casper Show.
All right, here we go. The final hour on this Tuesday morning coming at you, September 10th. A big thanks to all of you who are tuning in, whether it's on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com. Don't forget you can download that app and take us on the go wherever you're listening to us from. Let's get right to it. Joining us right now is Mr. Rob Demovsky, ESPN Packers NFL Nation writer over there. Rob, first of all, big thanks for taking a few minutes and catching up with us here in the Chippewa Valley in Eau Claire.
You got it, Dan. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. So obviously I know things are busy with you given, what happened on Friday night and leading into this week. And Matt LaFleur had his press conference yesterday, and he threw out the word if Jordan Love isn't cleared to get this start. Do you think that was a little gamesmanship from Matt LaFleur, or do you think there's still maybe a little bit of a chance Jordan Love could potentially play?
Boy, I think it was gamesmanship, Dan. I don't see how there's any way that A, he can play, and B, they would actually clear him and put him out there, given, potential risk so soon for re-injury, especially considering what they just paid the guy, right? Like, you got to protect him long term. And later in the press conference, he said that they would never jeopardize anything, in the long term for a short term gain. Most of the rest of the questions and answers had the tone of Malik Willis is going to be starting and how they're going to prepare him and what they need to do and that sort of thing. I don't see
And I can't imagine the Colts actually falling for that either.
Yeah, right. So Malik Willis going to be the starter, then we would assume. Do you think Matt LaFleur, and I know Matt LaFleur's talked about this ever since a few times, do you think he's maybe kind of thinking back to when Jordan Love had that start for Aaron Rodgers in that Kansas City Chiefs game, how he prepared Jordan Love, and
Yeah.
maybe kind of thinking about, okay, what can I do differently to maybe prepare Malik Willis for this game?
That's a great question, and I think that's that's going to be a big test for him, and it's probably good that he went through that, with Jordan in 2021, and the difference there was that they didn't find out until I believe it was Wednesday morning, if I remember correctly, that Rodgers had tested positive for COVID, so they had spent Monday and Tuesday of that week preparing for an unbelievable team in the Chiefs and preparing with the game plan for Aaron Rodgers. And LaFleur then later admitted that, they basically just tried to take that same game plan and flip it over to Jordan Love. And that was that was just a tough ask for Jordan at that point in his career. So I didn't even think of that as a great lesson, but that's a great point you bring up, because he has mentioned several times that they took the responsibility for not giving Jordan a game plan that he can be successful with. And, so now not only have they had, the full week with Malik, actually they had more than a full week because it happened on Friday. So, I would suspect that they will, at least come up with something that they think that Malik can be successful with, rather than just throwing the same game plan they would at the Colts, if Jordan were playing.
We've had a few of our listeners kind of chime in and say this is why we wanted Green Bay to sign somebody like Ryan Tannehill, a veteran backup quarterback. And I know that name's been thrown out there and such. But with them trading for Malik Willis, does this kind of maybe give the impression that maybe Goody, preferred a guy like Malik Willis over somebody like Ryan Tannehill? And I know hindsight's 2020, but you got some fans that are kind of coming out saying, "See, this is why they should have gotten Ryan Tannehill."
Here's the thing I love about fans, and I guess I say this a little bit tongue in cheek, is they assume that Ryan Tannehill would just want to come here.
Right.
Ryan Tannehill has made, I believe you can check me on this, $196 million in his career. Why would a guy like Ryan Tannehill want to come out of whatever he's doing for a couple $1 million and put his body potentially through something that could alter his life? It's just like that's the crazy thing, is that people think, oh yeah, I'm sure Ryan Tannehill just wants to jump at the opportunity. I don't think he does, from what I was told, and I don't think they want to pay. I don't think they want to pay him $15 million for the rest of the year. So if you're Ryan Tannehill, why do that? Not everybody thinks. Not every player thinks like fans. In fact, most don't. So now, whether you think they did reach out to Ryan Tannehill or didn't, there's conflicting reports on that. I would suspect that they did, even if it was just a sort of back channel casual thing. Because here's an interesting fact for you. Brian Gutekunst's agent is also Ryan Tannehill's agent. So do you think Brian Gutekunst hasn't talked to his agent about Ryan Tannehill? Absolutely he has. And I guarantee you that he told him that, Ryan Tannehill's not interested. So like that, it's not fantasy football, like you can't just, I'm going to pick this guy up and put him in my lineup. Now that being said, at the end of training camp, they got to the end of it between the competition of Michael Pratt and Sean Clifford, and felt like neither one of them was the best option if something happened to Jordan. So I'm not so sure Malik Willis is, based on his past experience, but they do, and they thought that he was an upgrade. So I did wonder though, Dan, if in the long term, okay, maybe they think Malik Willis is a better option. But just given how recently he got here, if for this week they might go with Sean Clifford, as even off the practice squad, just because he knows more of the offense. But they're not going that way, so I think that's a little bit interesting. I personally, if it were up to me, I probably would have started Sean Clifford. Not to say that he's better than Malik Willis overall, but he might be better than Malik Willis right now.
He's Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation Packers reporter, joining us here this morning. You can make sure you follow Rob on Twitter /X, whatever the kids are calling it these days, at Rob Demovsky, and check out all of his work at ESPN.com. So with the game now coming up with the Colts here, just really quick going back to Friday's game, defensively, this was the first time we got to see Jeff Hafley. The honeymoon was over with with all the positive stuff kind of being said. Fans were eating it all up with what Jeff was saying and the players were saying. And then, Friday nights, overreaction Monday, you had some fans kind of like, what's going on with the defense here? How much can we really take away from week one, field conditions over there in Brazil? What kind of stood out to you with that defensive performance?
I mean, I think that there was definitely some positive and definitely some bad stuff too. I mean, I thought they struggled to stop the run. Obviously, Saquon was probably the difference in the game in a lot of ways. But I also thought there was there's definitely some positives. He's preached an aggressive style, and he came with it. He blitzed a bunch, and they got burned on a bunch. So I think there was also a need or a desire to take the ball away, and they took it away 3 times. It's not necessarily the defense's fault that they got 2 turnovers right away, Xavier McKinney's interception and the fumble recovery, and the offense only turned it into 6 points, right? Like, I mean, if it's 14-0 there instead of 6-0, maybe you feel a little differently about the fact that they gave up, what was it, 34 points.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most troubling thing was that when they needed to get off the field at the end of the game and give the offense the ball back, they couldn't. What the Eagles burn off about 6.5 minutes of the last 7 minutes of that clock. That was problematic a little bit. But I do think that there were some signs. I mean, you got key position. Edgerrin Cooper, who didn't really play at all in the preseason, came in late in the game and made a couple plays. So I'm not ready to completely, deem this another Joe Barry, Mike Pettin, end of the Don Capers era defense yet. So I'm still willing to say, let's wait and see what it is. None of these guys played really much in the preseason. They didn't show much in the preseason. And, I know Philadelphia had its offensive struggles late last year, but Philadelphia is a pretty potent offense. Those are 2 really good receivers and, a quarterback who's looking to prove that he's more like he was, the previous couple of years than he was the second half of last year. So, I'm still willing to take a wait and see approach with it. There were plenty of times, Dan, I think it was, it was a few years ago in a season opener at Chicago where the defense kind of won the day and Aaron Rodgers said, we got a defense now.
Yeah.
And they still ended up stinking. And then they've had season openers like the year that they had to go down to Jacksonville and play the Saints down in Jacksonville, and they got rolled 34-3, and ended up going to the NFC Championship game that year. So season openers are obviously fun, highly anticipated, but they're not always a true measure of how a team's going to be.
Just 2 more questions here, quick for you, Rob. I saw you because I love it when you tweet out the percentage of play snaps or and that. And 2 things really stood out to me. One, Tucker Kraft with the wide gap between him and Luke Musgrave, and Evan Williams, a guy that we talked about a lot in preseason, not getting any snaps on the defensive side.
Not a single defensive snap. That one really jumped out at me. And as you're watching the game, and I was actually not at the game, but so it's a little bit hard to see on TV who's playing in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the kid. When you're there, one of the things I always do when I'm watching the game from the press box is I always chart or try to chart who's on the field at most times, or at least what package they're in, nickel, dime, base, whatever. And I thought Evan Williams didn't play, and sure enough, when I saw the playtime sheet, not one snap. And this is a guy who probably made more splash plays, more takeaways in training camp than anybody else. So I was quite surprised at that, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a way to get him on the field. And then Tucker Kraft is sort of it's a little bit of a continuation of what we saw in training camp, more with Luke Musgrave. Just really hasn't. He was kind of a non-factor during training camp, which is really surprising considering last summer in training camp. And I'm sure when you had me on at this time last year, I told everybody pick Luke Musgrave up in your fantasy drafts because he was catching everything in training camp and they were throwing his way a ton. This summer they didn't throw his way a ton, and he didn't play a bunch. So I did say before the season on Wilde and Tausch's show on ESPN Milwaukee and Madison that my bold prediction was that Tucker Kraft would catch 50 passes this season, and I think he's on pace right now after the game. I had a feeling that he was going to be a bigger part of the offense than he was going into last season, and combine that with Musgrave's relative lack of involvement this summer. I thought that was a good bet.
Lastly here, Rob, I think a lot of fans, and if we knew the exact answer, we probably would be playing the lottery right now and trying to win a bunch of millions of dollars here. But fans want to know, can this Packers team win against the Colts with Malik Willis starting at quarterback? Do you think they've got enough talent? Can they run the ball against the Colts? Can the defense slow down Anthony Richardson and such? Do you think from what you've seen, obviously Malik is a big unknown at this point. Do they have enough talent elsewhere to still beat the Colts without Jordan Love, in your opinion?
It's a hard one. I think, I'll put it to you this way. I think if, the original timeline on Jordan Love was 3 to 4 or 3 to 6 weeks, whatever it was. I think if he has to play 3 games, I think he can win one. I just don't know if it's this one, not necessarily because of the opponent, just because it's the first one, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he can win a game for them. He did win a game in Tennessee. He started 3 and won 1. Now, if you go back and look at those games in 2022 when he started, I don't know that they won because of him. He did not throw very many passes. In fact, he did not have a passing game of over 100 yards in any of those 3 starts, which is, I think he threw for 99, 80 something, and 50 some yards, which is not much.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think they can win a game with him. I don't know if it's this one.
He's Rob Demovsky, ESPN NFL Nation, Packers reporter. Again, make sure you're checking out all of his fantastic work, ESPN.com, and give him a follow on Twitter /the X at Rob Demovsky. Rob, we appreciate you taking some time and chatting with us up here in Eau Claire in the Chippewa Valley. Best of luck the rest of the season, and we'll be following along. Okay, bud?
You got it, Dan. Thanks for having me. We'll be seeing you.
You got it. There you go. There's Rob Demovsky again, ESPN NFL Nation, Packers reporter, joining us here this morning. Good stuff from Rob. Always appreciate Rob taking some time and joining us here this morning to chat some green and gold. All right, let's take a quick break because I want to get Mr. RJ Cardinal in here. We got some Badgers chats I want to get to here. Badgers, obviously, with the big game with Alabama coming up here this weekend. We'll recap the game against South Dakota. Did RJ see anything from that game against South Dakota that makes him feel a little bit better about this team, or is he about the same, or is he worse, or where is he at with this Badgers team? And then, of course, we'll talk about Alabama coming to town here this weekend. So, quick break, and we'll switch gears here up just a little bit. Talk some Badgers coming up after these quick words. If you missed any portion of that conversation with ESPN's Rob Demovsky, we'll put that up in our podcast later on this morning. The Man Cave Podcast brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee, your tailgating headquarters for this football season. Get all your supplies at Hy-Vee. And our good friends at Toyson Ford. Looking for a new vehicle or maybe a high-quality used vehicle? Go visit our friends at Toyson Ford. Let's switch gears here for a little bit and talk some Badgers. Badgers obviously have a big game coming up this weekend against Alabama. But before that, let's recap last weekend's game with Mr. RJ Cardinal. So RJ, how you feeling now after seeing the Badgers against South Dakota? You feel the same when we were talking with you last week? A little bit better, a little bit worse? Where's the RJ Badger-o-meter right now at this point?
Kind of about the same. It was nothing impressive, especially when you take into account some of the other teams that just obliterated FCS programs last week. And I know we did talk about this being a top 6 team in the FBS, but you got out to a 17-3 lead in the first half. And really, it seemed like you took your foot off the gas in the second and third quarters, only to then, get it back up for the fourth. And it really took a targeting call for the crowd to get into it the whole day. And then the team got back into it. Really one of those, I don't understand why South Dakota didn't keep running the ball against Wisconsin. That is going to be an issue. And when you have a team like Alabama, who I think I saw is averaging 260 some odd yards rushing the game, if they do anything but rush, they'd be stupid. Because right now that O-line is having difficulty protecting their quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, still an underwhelming win. And then if you heard any of Phil Longo's comments from yesterday, he's pretty sure fans will take wins over a flashy, high-flying offense. But if that were the case, Paul Chryst would still be here. And I'm not sure he really understands the situation if he's making comments like that. Or maybe he's playing it dumb and we're going to see things open up against Alabama, which I'm pretty sure will have to happen if we're going to try to win, or if they think they can just have very long drives and score field goals and beat Alabama. Who knows?
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, you're kind of, I think, at where a lot of people are right now with this Badgers team after that game against South Dakota. Like, RJ, it started off, okay, 14-0 right away. It's like, okay, maybe we're going to, put up a big number. Then it, like that third quarter especially, just kind of tailed off there, and it got a little too close for my comfort there, and ended up being, I'm kind of the same way after week one at this point.
Mm-hmm. And even to be up 17-3 at half, it took a field goal at the end of the half to get you there. So, adjustments made by this coaching staff are absolutely horrendous. And it's going to have to change. We saw it like all last year. Then after every game, it was to a T. Well, we really didn't feel like we needed to make adjustments. You lost 6 games. So yeah, you did a lot. It's a coaching staff, I think, that's letting down the players more so than the players letting down the coaching staff. They're putting them in a position to have close games rather than anything else. And even out of the play calling they're doing, they're expecting the players to make big plays out of that, even though they're not looking for the big play as the play's drawn up.
So, RJ, with Alabama coming to town here, obviously it would be a monumental win if the Badgers could do this. But if you're putting a game plan together with Luke Fickell and Phil Longo and such, what's your game plan to try to beat Alabama this week? And what are you trying to do, or what are you trying to kind of put together here?
Well, offensively, I need to see things opened up. It's a team that you need to be playing your best to have a shot at winning, and that's not really presenting itself right now. We're playing well enough to win, and that's against teams that are perceived to be lesser than. And if you think that's okay, if you think the fans will be okay with just wins like that, now if it happens against Alabama and you get a win just like that, playing well enough to win, I mean, I can't wait to see the potential of this team then. But you can't go into the Alabama game thinking your game plan right now is what's going to get you through that game. And, like I said, maybe it's this coaching staff right now saying this stuff that limiting possessions for the other team, keeping the clock, playing a different style than we're used to is what's going to win us games. And if they're playing that poker hand and this is their poker face right now, good for them. But I mean, honestly, I think you need to absolutely open it up and go all gas, no effing brakes against Alabama, and be damned at who else sees your playbook. I mean, if you can go out there, open everything up on both sides of the ball and show the potential of what you've been telling us of the amount of athletes we now have on both sides of the ball that can just do amazing things. If we don't see that, it's going to be pretty tough, and you're probably going to end up getting blown out by Alabama.
Yeah. I'm concerned about the running defense here, RJ, going up against Alabama here. I mean, is that something that could get a little bit ugly, you think, coming up here?
There's a good chance. I mean, your team leader only, wow, that can't be right, has 194 yards rushing. I mean, as a team, over 2 games, they have 533 yards rushing. So, yeah, after watching Wisconsin, like I said, if you go into a game against Wisconsin and don't try to run the ball, that's on you. Their secondary is their strong point. Their rushing defense is non-existent. And it's really one of those, they did better when they had 3 down linemen, and yet they didn't keep that in there the whole game. I think you would have been absolutely fine with 3 down linemen the whole game. And it led to some of the shorter drives for South Dakota. But then again, I'm not a defensive coordinator at the FBS level, so that's also me just watching. I don't know what to go with there because I'm not an expert. But judging from what I saw, your 2 down lineman defense is very ineffective. And when you don't get pressure on the quarterback, that's even when passing plays that are short crossing routes ended up leading to big chunk yards and really gouged you. So I need to see it, the attacking style defense we were promised, and not so much this 2 down lineman, but 3 down lineman.
RJ, you've seen a lot of Badger games. You've been a part of a lot of Badger games with the program and such. Let's kind of project here a little bit. If Wisconsin wins this game, I mean, I can't imagine what Camp Randall, what the city's going to be like afterwards. RJ, put yourself in that position. Would that be almost like a top 5 moment for you personally?
Yeah, it'd probably be up there with the Ohio State win when Gilreath started the game off with a bang. So it'd be one of those you're living high because you go right into a bye week before you jet off and go play USC in LA. So it'd definitely be one you get to revel in for a whole 2 weeks, week and a half, however long you want to celebrate that before you turn the page and start saying we got to get serious for USC here. But yeah, that it would be the biggest non-conference win in Camp Randall history because the last top 10 or top 5 program to come in here as a non-conference team was Miami in 1989. Wisconsin went down, scored a field goal, and then lost 59-3 or something like that. So, it'd be one of the biggest wins in Camp Randall history and program history. But there's other ones in there where people have rushed the field for against other conference ranked opponents and things of that nature. But this would be one of the biggest wins in program and Camp Randall history.
Rush the field. Are you a rush the field type of person, or rush the court?
I sit 56 rows up, so it's a little hard to do that. Plus, if people do that, it's easier to get out of the stadium. So
there you go.
I'll just head back to my tailgate, enjoy a beverage, and chat with my buddies about a win if that's the case.
So on the flip side, if it's a dominating performance by Alabama, does it almost kind of confirm everything that we've been kind of talking about with the Badgers the past couple weeks and some of the concerns that we've had with this team?
Yeah, it becomes those 4 games we marked as losses are definitely going to be losses. Some of those coin flip games no longer are coin flips, and you're going to have everybody thinking you're probably not going to make a bowl game. You're 2-1, and you'll still have people thinking you cannot get 4 more wins on this schedule, and it'd be hard to say yes we can, because there are some teams who are around the caliber of Alabama on our schedule. There are some teams that are perceived to be above the caliber of Alabama on our schedule. So then it's a team that doesn't have any heart at that point. If you can't, if you get blown out and doesn't really look like an effort, you start questioning the team's marbles, as we talked about last week.
Yep.
And you might even have people start becoming apathetic this early, and Camp Randall will be empty again, like it was the final year of Paul Christ and Jim Leonard, as well as later into the season last year, when people realized we might be talking to a con man. And we'll see what happens there. And if another 7-6 season comes around, it might be a short tenure for your AD as well.
Wow. Hey, Big Ten overall, I want to give you 2 teams. You tell me who you've been maybe more impressed with in their first couple games. Illinois after defeating Kansas, or Nebraska now jumping into the top 25?
I think Nebraska, more so because I think they finally have a defense. I know Colorado's strong point is their offense. We knew it was going to be a shootout in that game, and not really thinking about the offensive side, or Nebraska's defensive side of it, because we thought, hey, we're going into this and it's going to be a shootout, in the sense that it's going to be like 40 something to whatever, and Nebraska's probably going to come out on top if they have the ball last. But yeah, I mean, it's really one of those, you win 28-10, so maybe your offense isn't quite clicking yet, but your defense definitely is able to stop at least a 2-man team in terms of Colorado. Illinois, I like what they did, but it was still, there were some struggles there where watching that game, it still could have gone either way. I think there was some refereeing help there. But if you have Big Ten refs at home in a non-conference game, you'd hope you have some Big Ten, some refereeing help there. But that was one. There were a couple of calls that I think aided them a little bit. Eastern Illinois, not the greatest of FCS teams, but you also wanted to see that kind of performance out of Wisconsin in the first 2 weeks, and you didn't get that. So, after a down year last year for the Illini, looks like they've reloaded with some players, and they're going to be doing well this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, RJ, prediction time here before I let you go. Alabama, Wisconsin right now. I'm looking at the line on the mothership. It's 16 for Alabama. I'm assuming you're picking Alabama unless you're going to surprise me, but do they cover that too?
Oh, no. When I saw that open at 10.5, I was telling everybody to hit that hard and go for Alabama. And I mean, up until it gets in the 20s, I'd keep hitting that. I'm probably going to go 42-17 in favor of Alabama.
Yeah,
I hope I'm wrong.
Yep.
But like, it's one of those. Even late in the game against USF, you scored 28 points really in under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think, because I mean they were still struggling early in that fourth quarter, but 28 points, they poured it on at the end there. And I mean, if like I said, if Wisconsin doesn't come out with their hair on fire or whatever, cliche you want to use to say, as pissed off and as ready as like whatever we want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't come out with the ability to stand up to a team that is on paper and probably to the eye better than them, if you don't come out with a game plan that is completely different from what we saw the first 2 weeks, it will be a blowout. And maybe people stay for jump around. Maybe they won't, depending on where you are in the middle of at the end of the third quarter. But I don't foresee this really happening in Wisconsin's favor. But I'll still hope they win. Just don't think they will.
Mm-hmm. Well, really quick before I let you go, if they do win, does it change the expectations for the rest of the season for this Badger football team?
Absolutely. Like you asked, if it's a blowout, what does it do for the psyche of fans and all that? If you win and even if it's a squeaking out win, you're beating the number 4 team in the country as an unranked team. That's pretty good. It all of a sudden becomes, okay, we have the ability to hang with Alabama and beat them. And even if it's a close loss, I think this could be true. It gives you the confidence, or the fan base the confidence, well, maybe we have what it takes to stand up to USC as well, or hang with USC. Then it becomes those coin flip games. I think we have what it takes to win those, and they become more of a coin flip and put into Wisconsin's favor. So a close loss or a win really changes the outlook, whereas I think a blowout loss continues to push people in the way they're going now, where it's these lesser teams we can't blow out like it seems every other team is doing. I mean, heck, we just saw Indiana put up 77 points and 701 yards in a game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you don't have the ability to do that. You can say you're playing better teams, but I don't think Western Illinois is better than some of these other teams. I mean, Notre Dame lost to or Western Michigan is better than a lot of these teams. I saw some people trying to be apologists and say Wisconsin beat Western Michigan, and they're a really good MAC team that is actually going to be decent this year. And Ohio State goes out and blows them up 56-0. And yeah, Ohio State's on a different level than Wisconsin, but Wisconsin should have been able to blow that team out and went through the motions, played a blah offense, played a blah defense, and it suffered for it. And I think that's the same thing that happened last week. And I just hope something changes, because if your plan is to control the clock and play a toned down offense and defense this entire year, we are going to have another bad year, and it might snap that bowl streak and winning streak that Wisconsin's had and can put their hat on and be in the names of all these teams that have won national championships and things like that with those streaks. But if it all depends on what they look like on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. He's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst this morning. Appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the game and putting all the pressure on you. Bring back a W on Saturday, okay?
I'll see what I can do.
All right. See you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
You got it. There you go, RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. Let's take a break. And maybe computer's apparently taking a break here. We'll take a break and do some picks and predicts. Get you updated on the standings after week 1 of the NFL season. That's coming up after these few words. Well, we got some ASAP used auto parts, grind my gears here to get to before we get to some picks and predicts here. ASAP used auto parts, your go-to place for any oil changes, some new tires, maybe to get ready for that upcoming winter season. You know, you want to make sure you've got some new tires to do battle with those winter roads. Or if it's time for an oil change, hit up ASAP used auto parts in Eau Claire, C-Bomb. He's got what grinds my gears is Goody. Backed him since day one, but to not have a veteran backup quarterback with a loaded roster is criminal. Been banging that table for Ryan Tannehill all summer. And this is why we need someone who can get done for a few weeks. Maybe Willis rocks, and I'm wrong, but I am worried. Another Grind My Gears Tuesday is from David. David is saying, what grinds my gears on this Grind My Gears Tuesday is everybody already folding in on the Packers after 1 week. Chill out, people. Don't buy into the hot take headlines from other sports media people. All right, there you have it. A couple more Grind My Gears Tuesday picks over there. Let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room located in Eau Claire next to the Banbury Place. Quick look at the leaderboard for our first round of picks, and we've got two peeps tied at the top. That would be Garrett and myself, Garrett Jacobson and myself, tied there at 14 picks correctly picked in week one. A bunch of you, though, sitting there at 13, one back. So don't forget to get your picks in, all right, for week two by just heading to sportstalk1051.com and getting your picks in because we got games coming up here already, right? Week two coming up, a couple days here. So let's do some baseball picks, though, for today, shall we? Holding on to the Brewers one here. So the Twins fell to the Angels last night, 6-2. Starting to get a little worried there, Twins fans. I say they bounce back and pick up the win tonight, though. So I'll go with the Twins, picking up the win. Let's go. Gotta throw, I guess, the Tigers into this thing. Can they make things a little bit interesting? They're taking on Colorado in Detroit, though. I'm gonna go with Detroit. How about the Royals at New York? New York picking up a 10-4 victory last night. Lugo, Marcus Stroh. I'll go with the Royals picking up a win tonight. Don't know why. I just got a weird feeling, but I'll go with the Royals. Mets at Toronto. I'm going to go with the Mets tonight. Baltimore at Boston. Boston picked up a 12-3 win last night. But I'll go with Baltimore to pick up the win. We got a couple more here. Cubbies picked up a 10-4 win over the Dodgers last night. This is a good pitching matchup too. Yamamoto versus Imanaga. Boy, I'll go with the Dodgers to pick up the win tonight, just because I want the Dodgers to win and lower that magic number down there a little bit for the Brewers. And then the Brewers at the Giants. We got Aaron Savale versus Hayden Birdsong, which the Brewers faced him back on the 29th. He went 3 2/3, gave up 5 earned runs in that contest. I'm going to go with the Brewers, starting off this road trip on a high note and picking up the win. And let's start to gain some momentum as we get to the playoffs. 19 more games left to go. Just 19 more games left to go here for this Brewer season. Believe it or not, man, it's coming up. I can't believe it. So, all right, those are your picks and predicts. Again, brought to you by the Elbow Room, located in Eau Claire, right next to Banbury Place. Looking for somewhere to catch some of the games, catch some of the action. Head on over to the Banbury Place, and don't forget Wednesdays trivia nights over there too. So, all right, let's recap some of the stuff that we hit up. Plenty of Brewers chat as we get set for the Brewers to get back in action tonight, taking on the Giants. We hit that up again. First pitch. It's going to be a late game tonight, okay? Going to be a late one. 8:45 is first pitch. You can catch that on the radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So, talked about that. Got done talking some Badgers with Mr. RJ Cardinal, previewing game coming up against Alabama this Saturday and recapping the win against South Dakota this past Saturday. Talk some Packers. Big thanks, Rob Demovsky from ESPN joining us to talk a little green and gold. If you missed any portion of that conversation, you can check it out on our podcast. It'll be up a little bit later on this morning, the Man Cave podcast over there. So, but big thanks to Rob for joining us. Obviously, big thing as Matt LaFleur, I think, with a little bit of gamesmanship yesterday, using just one word, talking about Jordan Love, saying if he's not cleared, then Malik Willis would be the starter. I think it's a little gamesmanship, but who knows? We'll see, I guess, at this point in time. We'll see. So, but that's the big question, right? Can Malik Willis lead this Packers team to a victory? Can he help them win a game? Specifically, can he help them win this game against the Colts to avoid an 0-2 start to the season? Can that happen? We'll talk more about that as the week goes on and leading up to the game and such, but that's the big unknown right now. That's the big unknown. We'll kind of get your gauges throughout the week, your confidence level, your confidence meter as we get to that a little bit later on through this week and such. So, but I don't know. I honestly do not know right now. I'm struggling with this. I would love to say yes because of the offensive weapons surrounding him, with Jacobs. But if I'm the Colts, I'm low in the box to stop Jacobs. I'm low in the box to stop him and forcing Malik Willis to try to get it out to his outside weapons. And Matt LaFleur, I would imagine, knows that. The coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff knows that. So what can you come up with to maybe get the ball out of your hands quickly and get it to your playmakers? Maybe I know Malik Willis can be a little bit of a threat with his legs over there too. Do they try to dial up extra pressure to get after him and to rattle him, make him nervous, make him see some ghosts in that backfield? I think Matt LaFleur, he's got to remember how he prepared Jordan Love with that Chiefs game. And that's got to come across his mind here a little bit when he's preparing Malik Willis for this. I think that's got to cross his mind a little bit. So, nonetheless, we'll talk about all that leading up to it. All right. Shot clock's going to cut me off here in 30 seconds. Tomorrow, we'll do a little business of sports. We'll hit that up. Also, we'll talk a little Brewers. Hopefully, we're talking about a win. Late night game tonight. But hopefully, we're talking about a win with this Brewers team and looking ahead to Game 2 against the San Francisco Giants. Colin Ray is going to get the start for the Brewers for tomorrow night's game. But again, Aaron Savali is going to be on the mound for the Brewers tonight. Maybe again another kind of like audition when it comes to that playoff rotation out there when it comes to the Brewers. So. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Let's do this again tomorrow morning, all right? Big thanks for tuning in and texting in and participating. Keep it up, all right? Let's do this again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Talk to you then.